All right, so Kevin Thomas on top. 6-1 with Jeskai Control. Jacob on the bottom. 6-1 with Amulet Titan. And Kevin's in the play. Misty Rainforest. Let's rock and roll.
The iconic start.
Yep. And turn 1 Amulet for Jacob. Exactly where Jacob wants to be. Kevin's going to fetch. Imagine a little Surveil on here. So, how does this look for Control? You know, the Amulet Titan decks are pretty good at playing a longer game as well, right?
Yeah, I would think this is a really, really rough one here from Kevin. I mean, I see Lightning Bolt, Helix, Flage, Teferi, Prismatic. Prismatic Ending is okay, but those other cards are bad. You know, Prismatic Ending doing exactly this is incredible, but otherwise a lot of spot removal that looks very, very unexciting to say the least. And the sideboard doesn't even look that much better from Kevin. So I think this is Jacob's match to lose.
All right, so we do see the ending there taking out at the Amulet, which is extremely important.
Yes.
Talent for Kevin. And we're going to see Vesuva copying the archive there. A little Surveil for Jacob.
Spicy.
All's fair. All right, land 3 for Kevin. Pass him a turn, Scalding Tarn. And back Jacob's way, we see Beseju into Spelunking. That word's just fun to say.
It is fun. And it's a fun card to play with if you're a fan of Amulet. That's for sure.
Yep.
The one thing I will say for Kevin is Kevin does have some really good cards. You know, Tidebinder seems great. There's 3 of those in the main. Counterspell, very strong if we don't have the Cavern of Souls type thing from this Amulet build, as well as just 4 Flame of Anor. So being able to blow up Amulets is great. But this is where these new versions of Amulet are very scary because sure, Kevin's very good at dealing with Amulet with Prismatic Ending and Flame of Anor. Not so good at dealing with the 3-mana Amulet of Spelunking.
Yep, so also a lot of time for Jacob to get set up here, right? So here Kevin's going to play Flame of Anor, and this looks like a main phase draw too. I would say Kevin probably missing a land here.
Yeah.
I was end-step, never mind, I apologize.
Quick study, if you will. The instant speed divination.
You don't got to tell me, I love that card. All right, so we got land number 4 coming in here, and pass turn once again. Back Jacob's way. Vesuva, this time copying Simic Growth Chamber, coming in untapped, bouncing Beseju. And there's prime time, just jamming. Coming right in here and asking Kevin, do you have a counterspell? Kevin says, no, I don't. So Jacob is off to the races. Prime time, gonna get probably some haste land, I would assume. Maybe is this more of a setup here? There are Path to Exiles, there are removal spells. You think Jacob wants to set up more?
You know, I would think this is set up more. Maybe get a Simic Growth Chamber and a Teleria West. That would be an option. Or the hasty lands and you go for it. But I think the one way for you to kind of lose this game is go to give it haste and you lose to double Helix or what have you. I'm not sure if I see 2 red lands in there, but
how about Path to Exile?
Just iconic.
Throwback.
You know, Path on a Titan. I mean, that is just what it's all about.
That's happened quite a few times in Modern over the last decade.
Yeah, but not for a decade, I feel.
All right, so you get a Forest for Jacob. It will come in untapped thanks to Spelunking. And now we see an Amulet in as well. So I guess that Amulet didn't have mana for that one just yet, I suppose. So
yep, looks like it.
Want to just resolve the Titan. And there's end step Flame of Anor once again. Just 3 mana, draw 2 cards.
Draw cards, why not? Yeah.
You know?
It's good, clean magic.
I'm all about it.
Now, the list that we have here from Jacob, they are playing 4 Scapeshift, as we're starting to see from a lot of lists. So, I mean, that's one way to just fight through cards like Path to Exile. You win with your lands.
I would say a little more risky against counterspells, maybe, because you can't really like grind with the Scapeshift. You have to win or lose, right?
Yeah, a little bit more risky. It's also a little risky against like Merfolk Tidebinder. Like if the Spelunking wasn't there, you know, if you can like Tidebinder the untap from a Lotus Field and then you don't have mana to do something, and then you have to sack, like that stuff can matter.
All right, well, here's a Green Sun Zenith off of some bounce lands. I imagine it is for 6 here. It's Titan time again. There are 4 Snapcasters in Kevin's deck, so we could always see a Snapcaster Path to Exile, just like the old days.
Wow, I never thought we'd be seeing so many Snapcaster mages, but we have seen a ton of them. You know, we've seen maybe like, I don't know, 15 of them cast today, and 14 of them were Corey Burkhart. But
All right, so we see Mirror Pool and Crumbling Vestige. The Battlement already in play.
Will this haste work? Wow, was that a lot of Tamios? No, okay, that is 3 Snapcasters in hand then.
Oh.
I wasn't sure what that promo is, but I saw 3 of those in hand.
How would you like another Forest? How many Forests we got in there? We got 3 Forests.
Find out.
1 more Forest to go. And I mean, all this mana is pretty good for Jacob, right?
Yeah, why not?
Like, Kevin's not winning the game anytime soon. So,
Yeah.
time to rebuild and get things rolling.
And I did see another Green Sun Zenith in hand for Jacob, so can do it again next turn. And that's the one thing. If Kevin had a counter spell drawn instead of a path, just counter the Zenith, that looks a lot better because, number 1, you don't give your opponent a land. Number 2, those Zeniths don't shuffle back in.
Yep. All right. Tamio gets in. You got a clue. Snappy getting in also. Of course, Snap Bolt is a thing here. A couple of Felixes too, so. And it looks like Kevin's going to pass only 4 lands, so a lot of spells in hand.
All gas.
And now we go Jacob's way with a ton of mana.
Scape Shift, Summoner's Pack, Green Sun Zenith, a Saga. So, wow, this could be one of those turns where, Jacob goes, I want to try to resolve another Titan, but this time get enough mana for, to have 4, and then Scape Shift if the haste doesn't work.
Yeah, and Kevin has not had a counterspell in the last few turns.
No.
So, unless it has been drawn recently.
This is a lot of mana.
All right.
This might be starting with Escape Shift.
So looking to perhaps float a bunch of mana, cast Scape Shift, and see where it goes from there.
Leave the 1 Mirror Pool in play is what it looks like, but we shall see.
Remind me here, Scape Shift, you don't sacrifice part of the cost, right?
Not as part of the cost, yeah, upon resolution. So not a complete blowout.
Right, so no fear there. If Scape Shift gets countered, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, not too many ways to interact with that.
All right, so we got 3 colorless floating. And
a lot more.
How about 5 green?
Slap some blue in there while you're at it.
2 blue. Jacob could say any number here and I believe it.
Oh, yeah, same.
Also 14 red mana. Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Makes sense.
That's why you're here next to me.
Oh, yes. I wonder what would happen if I played Amulet Titan in a tournament. I feel like
I think you could do it.
My head would explode.
I think you could do it. I feel like we've commentated it enough. You're good to go. You're a pretty good Magic player.
My Twitch chat might disagree with you.
Yeah.
So here's Scape Shift. Bunch of mana floating. And it looks like it's going to resolve here. So these lands go to the bin. I think that was 7 lands.
Look like it.
So 7 fresh lands coming out of the deck. Both Amulet and Spelunking in play. A little redundant, but obviously important to have one of them.
Yep.
And notably, Mirror Pool is the 1 land left untapped.
Yep. So we're going to see some T-West. We're going to see Lotus Field, Shifting Woodlands. We're going to get all the things to do the really more busted thing that this deck can do. It's so wild to me that Primeval Titan is like, almost feels like it's not plan A anymore. I don't know if that's fully true, but Scape Shift to get Aftermath Analyst to then just infinitely get through your lands, create as many Titans as you want. The sky's the limit once you have this kind of loop going.
You can tell Jacob's sitting up in the seat.
Yeah.
Ooh, I get to do my thing now. This is great.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Lotus Fields. We got Bounce Lands. We got Shifting Woodland, Teleria West, Crumbling Vestige. We can see the Teleria go to hand. That can go get cycled. They can get a pact. Woodland become whatever you want it to be. Bunch of mana everywhere. Just so much stuff happening.
Yeah. And we already know we have a pact. We already know we have a Green Sun Zenith. So, there's an Urza's Cave there too. You can sacrifice that. That's going to be coming back each time. So you can get a land every time. You can Teleria West for every single one of your packs. Get all your Titans out of your deck. Eventually, you'll have the ability to play a Titan. If your opponent does have the way to deal with it, you can respond with okay, Mirror Pool it. So this, as long as Jacob doesn't make some egregious error, they should be up a game.
Yeah, and important to note here, Kevin is playing a control deck. There are no sweepers in this deck. So even if it just ends up being put some Titans in play or whatever else, we're obviously more than that as well.
Yeah.
But mopping up, that was kind of the Amulet thing back in the day where they would just produce a Titan. They wouldn't necessarily kill you.
Yeah.
But it was turn 3. They had 11 lands in play and a 6/6.
Yeah.
And you're still on land 2. So.
And at some point, there were Field of the Dead and zombies that would keep coming at you.
Yep.
Yeah. Amulet has went through so many different changes, and really through all the iterations, it's been a top-tier deck. It's just been so difficult to play that it's, remained through. All right, I won't do the meme, but.
All right, so you see a copy here of Amulet of Vigor.
Okay.
Here's Summoner's Pact.
Sacrificing the land, floating all this mana. Now we get Aftermath Analyst. And even if it gets countered, who cares? You just Shifting Woodland it. Shifting Woodland is also the bane of the existence of control decks. Whether you're Shifting Woodlands Urza Saga, doing more unfair things like this. Anytime you can have a land that is an uncounterable way to get back anything, ends up being so good against control.
Get back God Pharaoh's Gift.
Oh.
Saw Fire Choosers posted a pretty cool God Pharaoh's Gift. Went 5-0 a few times in some modern leagues. I haven't seen it yet today, but
That's a spicy one. One of my favorite ones. Favorite cards.
All right, so here's a bunch of lands, a bunch of mana. It's just so much. I gotta hire one of these Amulet players. It's like a special correspondent,
Yeah.
We should have like an Amulet desk. Let's head over to Dom, our Amulet correspondent, and see what the heck is going on here.
Whoever you pick for that job, they will do it for free, 100%, and it'll be the greatest day ever. Be like, I get to walk you through all these in-depth Amulet lines.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what it's all about. There's Amulet Discords out there. In between rounds, they're talking about all the cool different lines that they can do. And honestly, it is a cool deck. It really is. Sure, it's difficult to play. It's hard to comprehend half the time. If you show a new player what just happened there, they'd be like, what? That is wild, but it is a powerful deck. It's a fun deck to be at a tier 1 spot, and I'm a fan.
It's also just cool to appreciate mastery.
Yeah.
It's so cool seeing, I think it's difficult to do. People have mastered it. So great. So,
yeah.
So for Kevin's side here, we got a sideboard of 2 Celestial Purge, 3 Cleansing Wildfire. Love that card.
Bingo.
4 Consign to Memory, 1 Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, 2 Soul Guide Lantern, 3 Wrath of the Skies, Cleansing Wildfire looking pretty cool here, right?
Yeah, Wildfire for sure. Consign is good against like half of the draws. If your opponent's Summoner's Pact for a Titan and they picked up a lot of their lands to cast it, and just anticipating that they get the lands to be able to pay for Pact the next turn, 1 Consign can win you the game. Can also consign like untap triggers, stuff like that. That can really be impactful, but it's not always amazing. So that's a card that I think we will see come in because, there's 4 Lightning Bolts, there's 2 Lightning Helixes. There just looks like a decent amount of dead cards in Kevin's list. So I'd be bringing in anything that has text against Amulet.
Sounds good. And then on Jacob's side, we got 1 Majuka Bog, 3 Dismember, 2 Force of Vigor, 1 Otawar, 1 Pyroclasm, 2 6, which sounds silly to say.
That does.
2 Vampire's Vengeance, and 3 Vexing Bauble. What's going on here?
I like 6, but overall, I don't want to make too many changes here. You could think about Dismember to deal with like a turn 1 Tameo to stop kind of the card advantage plan, but I don't want to sideboard too much. This seems like a very good matchup for Jacob. So, yeah, they shouldn't overboard.
Sounds good. All right, so while our players shuffle up here, let's take a little look at an upcoming event.
Oh, let's do it.
All right, and going down to sunny Orlando for a little space action. Planetary Rotation, the Spotlight Series, and this is going to be a really big tournament. We're going to have an actual rotation with Standard losing a bunch of sets, picking up a new set. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really fun. This is, probably my favorite tournaments throughout the year is Standard just rotating the SCG Tour back in the day, playing the new Standard formats right before a Pro Tour. This is going to be like 3 weeks before Pro Tour Atlanta, which is Standard as well. So going to be really fun to see those kind of changes and see what people bring to the table. And if it's anything like the good old days, one of the Jessup brothers are going to win, as they usually do in early Standard. Now, this is going to be August 29th through the 31st. StarCityGames.com/SCGCon to get some more information on this. Going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, great tournament to play. Great tournament to watch as well.
Yes.
Always super excited to see what the first takes are on the format. So, hope to see you there. All right, back down to our feature match area. We got Kevin here, down a game on the play, looking for an answer to this Amulet Titan deck. And a bit of a mulligan here, perhaps?
Looks like a mold of 5 from Jacob.
All right, so I get that dice out of here. So, Kevin, on 7 cards on the play. Got a feeling pretty decent about that.
Yeah.
We see a fetch line come in. Urza Saga for Jacob. And pass him a turn. Very different Urza Saga than the Affinity deck.
Yes, but still just as powerful. It really is just a Amulet Titan and a hat.
Yep. All right, so fetch and scry for Kevin, I can only assume. Also, want to get frisky here with an end step lightning bolt. Oh,
You're at 17.
Oh, yeah, do it.
That's a much better play.
Yeah, I know. I get it. So land cycle, Lorien reveal, go get an island of various varieties. It's going to be I believe a Hallowed Fountain.
Yeah, this card used to be everywhere, and we do not see it as often, but Lorien revealed still very, very strong.
Yeah. Great amount of modality, you know?
Yeah.
Mana fixing, little card draw, pitch to force once in a while.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
5 mana recall, it does it all.
All right, so there's that fountain untapped. Going to shock in and spend 2 mana for a Cleansing Wildfire on Urza Saga. I am a huge fan of this card.
Oh, yeah. This is great, and I was kind of doing a check here to see if Kevin had any, like, Ghost Quarters, any of that kind of stuff that kind of synergizes with this. Nope, just I'm going to draw a card, you can get a basic, which ends up being good enough. It is interesting, you know, that we don't want to do any other kind of hateful land card for Amulet, you know, maybe even Aether Gust. But drawing a card is just that important, and being able to flash it back with Snapcaster is pretty nice.
That is nice. You got to do a forest check here. You know, you try and get all the forest out. So we see forest for Jacob. We see a Vexing Bauble.
Interesting.
That is a interesting sideboard card. What's the plan with this card?
To counter cards that you don't pay mana for, I guess. But yeah, I don't see a ton of them. Just counter summoners packs, I guess.
All right. Yeah, there you go.
But hey, if you or excuse me, I mean that's the other way around. So yeah, I don't actually know what this is really doing.
I don't quite get it either. I look over the list. I don't see any free spells in the entire deck list for Kevin.
Yeah.
And obviously there is Summoner's Pact in Jacob's deck, so I'm curious to see how this one turns out.
Cantrip.
All right, so Azusa Lost but Seeking SpongeBob SquarePants to save the day. And says no.
I love it. I love it.
All right, back Jacob's way. They seem in shock that SpongeBob SquarePants just ruined their day.
No kidding.
Azusa Lost but Seeking. I don't think Azusa, thought that one day she'd be being bested by SpongeBob. But
we all knew it was coming, though. SpongeBob, very powerful.
All right, so Gruul Terrafear, bounce the land, say go. We got a Surveil for Kevin. Just past turn, as a control deck wants to do. Looking like this game is looking pretty nice for Kevin so far. Things going according to plan.
Definitely.
Still vexed by this bobble a little bit. I'm curious to see how some...
I am too. I'm just looking over. I'm scowling this list to see if there is anything, but I am not seeing it.
You know what I think it is?
Huh.
I think it's just a one-up to search for with the Saga when you just want to draw a card.
Yeah.
Just if you're not sure what you want exactly or need to draw a card, that's my guess, but could be wrong. Again, Amulet's very confusing to me, so I'm in the booth for a reason.
It is a tricky deck, that is for sure.
All
but
right.
now we can counter it with the Garden, draw 2 cards. Divination.
Yep.
A really hard to work for Divination where you have to, invest 5 total mana.
You don't got to sell me on a Divination.
I'm trying, though.
I was watching some old coverage this week leading up to this, get my coverage, my feel on, and I watched some of my old control matches of me playing blue-white control.
Wow, you're just watching your own matches? Okay, that's not getting ready. That is just hyping yourself up, Jim.
That also might be true.
Okay.
Divination and blue-white control in standard.
Oh, yeah.
Just actual divination, not quick study, not just 3 mana draw 2.
How are your knees? Are they sore?
They're all right.
Okay.
I was trying not to think about it, So a good call from Nick Miller, of course, always on the ball. We are close deck lists.
Yeah.
Right, so Jacob does not have perfect information what's coming in or not. So Force Negation, Subtlety, all cards that could be in Kevin's deck, we know that they are not.
Yeah, Solitudes, those kind of things. All right, once again, Nick Miller's got it going on. Shocking.
Yep. Big shout out to Nick behind the scenes. You don't see him that often, but he runs the entire show. So
yeah, pretty much.
All right, here's an Amulet. And once again, we've got SpongeBob SquarePants.
Countered yet again.
who counters your spell. It makes you feel bad.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
All right.
We now owe the Krusty Krab a lot of money for that. Oh, man.
All right. So definitely a much cleaner game for Kevin here. I think the land drops are pretty big too. You know, drawing cards, making land drops, countering spells. But now you see a Zenith. Okay.
Looks like for 3.
And SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob.
I am loving this.
All right.
I just want to go to game 3 to have more SpongeBob jokes here on the broadcast.
I mean, that's all 4. They're all 4 in the graveyard, but Snapcaster Mage was born to flashbacks.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so.
Yeah. I mean, Snapcaster brings stuff back from the graveyard or brings stuff back from under the sea. Are you feeling it now, Jim?
Oh, I'm feeling it. I am feeling it. All right, so tapping some mana here for Jacob.
So that's 6. Okay, so prime time.
There's Delirium here, so.
Oh, wow, that's Shifting Woodland on the amulet, so it looks like we are trying to then copy it with the garden. Oh, baby.
Love this. Okay, so Woodlands activates, copying Amulet of Vigor.
Yep.
Mycosynth Garden is going to copy the Amulet of Vigor if it is, not there really yet, but is because it's a woodland. And so now we have an Amulet in play, and a little Vesuva action. Vesuva's going to be copying
the Simic Growth Chamber, so we should be up to 5 mana right now.
All right.
Now down to 2, if my calculations are correct.
And here's a 6, not the number, the name.
Well, it's also kind of the number, but
yeah. They must you're counting up,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, so here's 6 mana floating. 6 of Force can discard lands to play spells, non-land permanent spells from the graveyard, and it also has that 4th toughness. So Lightning Bolt not so good here.
So I mean, you could just pitch one of these lands to put the amulet into play. That is an option.
It looks like that's what Jacob is going for here. It looks like 6 resolve, so. All right, Battlements to the bin. Retrace.
I mean, that is a rough one to put into your yard, I will say.
Yes, so we're going to see the Vexing Bauble return.
Okay.
So the return of the Bauble, and now we're going to see an Amulet of Vigor discarding Beseiju. So not a bad turn for Jacob as far as setting up goes.
No, not bad at all. And looks like we're flooding out up top. I think I see a Consign and I see a Bolt, which, not amazing by any means.
All right, so 2 amulets. And the Bauble here, again, is insurance against force, subtlety, things like that as well. So, all right.
We know it's not there, but it is, of course, not known to Jacob. Thanks for pointing that out, Nick. And good sequencing there, I will say.
So let's get rid of that Vexing Bauble. Just draw a card so Summoner's Pact does something.
Yep.
Gonna go look for a little search here. 2 amulets in play. There's a Titan.
And here is the little unfortunate aspect. Like, Titan's gonna come into play and Consign can stop something, but it's not a big deal anymore,
Yeah, so Stifle is a temporary solution to a very permanent problem.
Yes. Well said.
All right, so Vesuva going to make some mana copying bounce lands. We got mana floating for days.
Yeah, only 4 mana it should be.
Who can tell?
Yeah, who knows?
All right, so tap the Growth Chamber itself, and we're going to see a Consign to Memory. This is on the bounce land trigger?
Nope, this should be trigger? On the Titan trigger and replicated to make sure that it won't be doing anything. We know the haste land's already in the yard, so it's a little tricky to get anything going with that. Not impossible with the Shifting Woodlands, but more than likely this Titan is not attacking.
Well, the Woodlands could copy the Hand Warp Battlement, but not enough mana for that right now. So,
But we don't have enough mana, but that could happen, which is pretty cool.
Yep. All right, so tap 2 more. Going back into the yard from 6, we see a land discarded to cast Azusa, Lost but Seeking.
We might have enough mana now. Yeah. There's a Lightning Bolt in hand from Kevin, but that's the only card.
So now 2 more land drops coming, I apologize.
Yep.
And No Day Force, there is a pack that needs to be paid for as well. So, so 6 attacks, mill some cards, and
get a land back.
That's a
That represents 8 mana. Not
Yep.
that there's a ton to do with it.
All right, so 6 in the red zone. We're going to see Lightning Bolt on Azusa. So Azusa, yeah, said hi.
Yeah.
Then said bye.
Gone.
All right.
So no more mana, no more any that kind of shenanigans for this turn, but the Titan gets to live, the 6 gets to live, and there's no Supreme Verdict or anything like that to clean these creatures up. So, you got to think that it's just going to be very tough to be able to deal with these creatures in any meaningful way.
Yeah, and Path to Exile would work, but if the Titan is killed any other way, Woodlands all of a sudden pops out of nowhere, turns into a Titan, and keeps this ball rolling.
Yeah, and we see another pact in hand from Jacob, so...
Now, Jacob is owed 1 pact, right?
Yeah, has to pay for 1 pack, but we'll still have plenty of mana. I mean, by plenty, I mean exactly enough to play a second Titan without attacking with this Titan, but...
All right, so big shuffle here. Big draw step for Kevin.
Yep.
Kevin is on the edge here. Needs to pull a little bit of a miracle out.
Absolutely. And Jacob's doing the best, I don't know, I guess Squidward impression, kind of ruining SpongeBob's day over there. 1 Tameo's not going to do it.
All right, yeah, Tameo's here. Tameo is not what the doctor ordered.
Nope.
And now it is clear sailing for Jacob. Got to be pretty clear. The coast is clear here. That was a draw for turn. Bolt was the last piece of interaction, and Jacob is off to the races.
Yep, so 7 mana floating now. There's a pact in hand that Woodlands can copy the battlement to give one of them haste, and that's 12 damage alone plus the 6. You can eat up 3 of it, so should be exactly lethal. 9, 10, 11, yeah, exactly lethal by just giving this 1 Titan haste, turn them sideways and do nothing else. But we know with 2 Titans attacking, there's a lot that can be done.
It is nice to have an amulet line that is just put a thing in play and attack.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you have to do.
Now, that being said, we do need to find a way to add red mana, which I don't think we can actually do since that Lotus Field did not add red for the second one. So, I mean, I think there's going to be like 5 different ways where Jacob could find lethal here, so I don't think it's going to matter that much, but...
5? Have you seen this deck?
Yeah, okay, 6, sorry.
How about 60?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Here's let's go the more fun route here.
Yeah.
Jacob says attack for 6.
There'll be no attacking unless it's with all the Titans.
Yeah, how crude, how quaint.
Exactly.
Let me show you how it's really done here. So here's Analyst, mill 3. There are already a ton of lands in the graveyard. And it is go time, folks. Analysts go into the bin. All the lands are coming back. 2 amulets in play means this is a smorgasbord of mana.
Oh, yeah. All the things, do whatever you want. Can really just win in a plethora of ways. The battlement's coming back now, so you can go not more than likely, you will find your mirror pool eventually.
Yeah, we got Gruul Turf now for red. We got I can't even see all the lands in there. We're off the screen. We got so many lands. Bunch of mana.
And Amulet continues to impress every time it's on camera.
Deck is really, really powerful.
Really good. And it does seem like a bit of a brutal matchup for Jeskai Control. But I would imagine Kevin was doing some great work up against, other energy decks.
Yep.
Anything that's kind of playing fair, I bet Kevin's deck is great against.
Absolutely, yeah. And still, even if Kevin does not pull out a miracle here, 6-2 is still great. Already locked for day 2. One more round today, try and clean that one up, and then go into day 2 with a clear head.
Yep.
Ready to battle.
And absolutely, some of the cutoffs that we've seen in the past are those like X2-1. That's been kind of the line. But a lot more players at the RCs than we have for this one. So you could easily see X3. I bet we're going to have a couple sneak in tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely a different feel. The RCs have the Pro Tour invites going down to top 32.
Yeah.
This is more of a top 8 focused tournament.
Very much so.
You want to make top 8 of this tournament. That's where the invite is. That's where the money is. That's where the prizes are. Still great prizes going down, on day 2. But this is a tournament where you definitely want to make top 8.
Yeah. Or that top 128. Get that Garrick. That thing looks sweet. I keep thinking about that ever since we put that slide up. That Garrick Wildspeaker for top 128 looks really awesome.
It's a cool card, too. The original 5 are...
Yes.
They're a good set.
Yep, that was the first big tournament win I ever had. I was so nervous in the finals. I asked my opponent, hey, do you mind if we don't allow spectators, essentially, because I was like shaking nervous. And he's like, listen, kid. He literally said that because I was a child. He's like, listen, kid, you're going to have to get used to it. And I'm like, okay.
And then you beat him.
And then I did beat him, yep. Kavu, the 2-2 that whenever you gain life, you put a counter on it. Fiery Justice, Garrick, that was my weapon of choice. It was a blast.
Kavu Predator?
I believe that's it, yeah.
Yep. All right, so we see at least one copy of Titan here. Up there's another one.
Oh,
There's another one. Alrighty then.
Making copies.
Titans ahoy. Still a bunch of mana float. Let's get some more.
Oh, why not?
Yeah, just get more in the feature match area.
Sure.
You call Nick or something, get some more tokens down there.
They all got hazed.
There it is. There's the handshake.